RMJ Movie Reviews back again with Halloween 1978. Oh man, oh man, oh man. John Carpenter's original classic. The original. The one that led the way for everybody. All the franchise slashers. Good old Mikey Myers. Well, I'm sure to start off with a brief history of my recollection of Halloween. I saw, and I've told this before, but I'm going to tell it again because it's a new video. But I saw Halloween 1978. I believe it was in the 80s when I was a little kid. Because growing up in my old house, my mother had a TV. This is probably 1986 or 87. But I had a black and white television plugged in my room with an antenna, 358, blah, 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 blah. And Channel U, which was Channel 45, Channel 43 WUAB, is a local station in the city of Cleveland. And they used to have Halloween Horror Week during the 80s. And this was the particular day they showed Halloween 1. And I first saw Halloween 1 on my black and white television in my room. And black and white was the original way I saw Halloween 1 and a lot of movies I used to watch back then. And I remember every time I would turn my TV on, it would go and it would make these little squiggly lines, and then the image would pop on. And that was that was where I first saw Halloween 1. And I loved the film. I remember being so intrigued, just fascinated by just this guy, because he didn't have an explanation. It wasn't he's this or he's that. I mean, beyond Dr. Loomis saying he's evil, he was just this guy who just like wouldn't die, and he just kept coming. And it was so interesting a concept in the mask that looks like a face, and it's white and has hair, but it's blank. This thing right here. It was so cool to me, and ever since then, it's been my favorite horror movie of all time, and to this day still is. And watching the movies backwards, I know that doesn't make sense in terms of YouTube review or whatever, but it's my channel, I can do whatever I want. But I now see the fundamental problem of everything afterwards. John Carpenter has been right. Halloween is a oneer. It was meant to be a oneer. Not in the business sense, but in a story sense, it should have just been this movie. Business-wise, of course, this should be the other movies. But in terms of just artistic integrity and all that great stuff outside the movie business, this was a oneer. And starting from the worst, which is, well, I mean, Rob Zombie's movies, they aren't the worst, but, you know, pretty much watching zombies and everything back, the fundamental problem of all the movies outside of this movie is this is a slow, methodical, haunting, slow burner of a film. It's a one-shot deal. It's a one-shot film, period. That's why there's some people who might agree that Halloween does not hold up to repeat viewings. I'll tell you my experience with it. I've seen the film well over thousands of times. I've seen it on regular TV. I've seen it on VHS tape. Never really saw it on cable that much until maybe later on. But mostly my experience of seeing the film was on regular TV and on VHS tape when I rented from the video store back then. But it's a movie that you have to have fresh eyes and not have much experience with the horror genre, and it needs to be seen in a gigantic theater. I have a friend of mine who's not a movie buff and not into horror films, and she saw Halloween and was just like, this sucks. I don't understand the reputation. It's boring. I don't get it. I had always seen it on Pan-to-Scan on regular TV, but I think it was last year, the year before, I went to visit my parents, and they got a big flat screen TV, and I watched this DVD on this large flat screen. That was the first time I had ever seen the film that big, because all the times they've re-released it in theaters, I haven't been able to catch it. But this was the first time I've ever seen it totally blown up in its original shot widescreen format. I'm going to get into the widescreen format in a minute. And the movie, it seemed like a new movie to me watching it that way. The widescreen really helps to just, it makes the film feel bigger, but also it takes advantage of all the space where Michael Myers could be hiding. And see, that's the thing. And there's a lot of empty space, a lot of empty frames, and it's a big wide screen. And a lot of times it's not totally 100% stationary, like this camera. A lot of times it's just kind of like this. You know, so you can kind of feel uneasy, you know? And that is the brilliance of between the wide space, the lighting with the darkness. It's a very the lighting is not very strong in this film, except for the daytime scenes. You see, the sequels. This is how the sequels made the mistake, which this film didn't, because it was the original and it was low budget. More characters to kill, more people, brighter lighting, just more. Halloween is not that. It is simple and slow and methodical, not bright lighting. There's a lot of like with the light coming in through windows. Even the scene where Bob gets killed in the kitchen. You see, like that light behind me, right? Okay. Now think, if this was a Halloween movie, all this whole room there wouldn't be all this light. It'd just be the light coming in through that window right there, or maybe from that television, dimly lit, so you'd have a little bit of light behind me, maybe a little bit here, and then all the rest of that would be all black. You wouldn't be able to see anything. Or maybe you might see this face kind of slowly appear out the darkness. You see? That is the essence of Halloween. Playing with low lighting, playing with your eyes. You can't see. Is he there? Is he not? We don't know, right? But you got all this frame. Is he behind the refrigerator? Is he in that closet? Oh, but wait a minute, I hear a noise. Breathing. Could be this guy right here. You see what I'm saying? The sound, the lighting, the sense of space. And let's not forget the beautiful music, the beautiful simplistic music. One thing I even notice now watching these movies in backwards is the fact that when you watch Rob Zombie's movie or some of the other sequels, even like H2O, you might hear the original cues from this film and you kind of just go like, why does it not feel right? It doesn't feel right because it's a slow, methodical, haunting theme that's made for a slow picture, steady, slow burn like this movie. And it's not made for these other busy movies with all these people and all these over-the-top performances and everything is grandiose. It ain't meant for that. It's meant for slow and steady. Even the way the movie starts, slow, methodical tracking on the pumpkin just kind of goes like that. So you just feel the danger. You feel the danger. And that's the big thing. Another thing, too, with the sequels. Too much Michael Myers. You're showing too much of him. In this film, and I've been studying it, you don't see that much of him. Even when it comes to the finale of the movie, you don't ever really... Okay, you got the one shot where you see him laid out on the ground after Laurie stabs him in the closet. That's it. You don't ever see maybe big, wide shots of him just in once. Halloween 2, 81 made that mistake. But you see, you mostly see over the shoulder. Him watching Annie through the kitchen window where the dog is barking, right? You can kind of see the kitchen light. See, that's another thing with the lighting. You see the kitchen light kind of glowing off the kind of the silhouette of his mask. But you're not seeing him. You're just seeing this figure that's watching. The bushes are dark. He's high. It's almost like he's a part of the bushes, you see? And that goes into the boogeyman theme. So then you got Dr. Loomis who builds him up. So you can't see him. You don't really know who he is. You know very little about him. You just know that he committed this heinous, disgusting act when he was 6. You know, creepy scene. Of course, when he stabs her point of view, looks a little goofy. And if you really think about it, you know, a 7 or 8 year old wouldn't be that tall. But we roll with it, people. It's fun. You know, this steady cam work, the point of view, his point of view. You understand what I'm saying? So you're kind of rolling with him, not too much, and the steady cam is only used very sparingly in this film. I believe his point of view in this film, I think, is only used once, and the rest of them, it's kind of behind him. But there's a power in that scene too, so you can kind of feel like you are Myers. So it gets you a sense of his world. Which his world is follow people around and attack. He's just a rabid dog. That's pretty much all he is. So then when you add in a classically trained actor like Donald Pleasance to build him up and say he's evil, he's evil. Look, I'm telling you, y'all need to get on. You need to get on point because this guy's a lunatic, and it makes the threat stronger. You already know this guy's a loose cannon because he killed his sister. But now you even know, guaranteed from this classically trained, I think Donald Pleasance was British, this British actor who's saying, man, look, this guy, everybody's in danger. You need to be on high alert. It's fantastic. And then you add in the girls. And see, another thing too, there's not many victims in this movie. I think there's 5 victims in this film, I think. Because I think it's the gas station, the sister, and then the 3 girls. So I think there's only 5 people who get killed in this movie. But not many people to choose from. He just kills the 3 kids, Addie and Linda and her boyfriend, right? But that's perfect. It adds to the isolation of the film, feeling like there's no hope. Where can you escape when this maniac is here? And you just feel like you're isolated. Like who's gonna help me? Who's gonna stop him? And with all this empty space, he could be anywhere. And that's where the sequels fail. They just don't. With the exception of Halloween 281 and Summer 4. You know, you don't need all that. You need to feel isolated. And as the film goes on, it's not just wide. Tighter, 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 till he's got her in the closet. It's just a well crafted, and you know, begs the question: could you make Halloween today? You know, I don't particularly think you could, because I think everything is so fast paced, and I think you could take elements of Halloween, like a fantastic horror picture like Don't Breathe, and I think Don't Breathe is a prime example of something like Halloween, where it's just kind of building. And what I like too is that there's not too many. This does have the boo moment. This movie did invent the boo moment, but there are also moments too that are boo moments where there ain't no musical sting. It's not just ding ding ding. There's some moments where like Sheriff Brackett put his hand on Donald Pleasance's shoulder, ooh, or when Jamie Lee Curtis bumps into Sheriff Brackett, oh, you know, great stuff. And it's just the fact that this lunatic is gonna do something nuts. But you're just waiting. You don't know when. But in the words of John Carpenter, you know he's going to spring upon someone. It's just, when's the lunatic going to do it is the question. And that's the beauty of Halloween. And also, too, watching it on a big screen again, this is a very scary movie. I've been conditioned to it over the years that I just know it as a film, and it's not scary, not because it doesn't have a sinister tone or a sense of impending doom, but it's just the fact I've seen it so many times. But rewatching it again on my parents' large flat screen, it's a very scary movie. In particular, hearing the breathing on really good sound and just his shoulder coming up, it's a very scary movie. And I digress, people. I'm going to tell one story from when I was in college. And I might have been, doing what Annie and Lori were doing in the car, and I probably shouldn't have been doing that. Sorry, Mom and Dad. But I remember after my buddies dropped me off and I was at home, I decided to watch Halloween, and I tell you, I think that's the scariest that Halloween has ever. The music kicked in. I was like, this movie is terrifying. But this movie's great, and to end it off with him being gone, you know, this was meant to be a oneer, you know, and the sequels fail of overly explaining Michael Myers. He's not meant to be explained. He's not meant to be explained. You don't know why he's doing what he's doing. He is just this evil force that is a personification of evil on Halloween night, and that's why the kids call him the boogeyman. He may not literally be the boogeyman, but when the kids are talking about I'm scared of the boogeyman, Michael Myers is so evil, he is the boogeyman. This movie's great. It's really great. I know there's some people that don't like it. I have met people who were of age, teenagers or whatever, when it came out, and I met some people who just didn't like it. And that's cool. But I think in terms of filmmaking, I think it is a fantastically crafted, suspenseful film. It's hard that you catch a film that makes you feel like the threat is in every aspect of the movie. Every aspect, because you never know where Michael Myers is. He's everywhere all the time, and when that movie ends and his body's gone, he's still out there. And to have that montage with the breathing, absolutely, it's scary. I watched it in the dark that night too, and then to end it with that breathing over that creepy house, and then it goes to the credits. It's a scary movie, man. I love Halloween 1978. It is a solid 10 out of 10. For those of you who are much, much younger, maybe born like in the 2000s, if you appreciate filmmaking, give it a shot. It'll probably be too slow for you. You may not be able to appreciate it. But if you appreciate craft and film, give Halloween a shot. RMJ Moore Reviews. I will see you guys soon with my review of Halloween 2018. And I'm actually going to do it live. RMJ Moore Reviews. I'll see you soon.